Heaven and hell in Buddhism. Do they really exist? The concepts of heaven and hell are deeply ingrained in the human psyche, often associated with images of eternal reward or punishment in an afterlife. We yearn for a blissful paradise and fear the torment of eternal damnation. But what if these realms were not external destinations determined by a divine judge, but rather reflections of our inner landscape? In the Buddha's profound teachings, heaven and hell take on a far more nuanced and insightful meaning. They are not merely physical locations to be attained or avoided after death, but rather states of mind, intricately woven into the fabric of our daily experiences. They are the results of karma. The Buddha, in his profound wisdom, did not occupy himself with speculation about far-off ethereal realms. Instead, he illuminated the path to understanding how we create our own experiences of joy and suffering, peace and turmoil, right here and now. He unveiled the intricate workings of the mind, revealing how our actions, thoughts, and intentions shape the reality we inhabit. This perspective shifts the focus from a distant afterlife to the immediate present, empowering us to take responsibility for our own well-being. This exploration of the Buddhist view of heaven and hell is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a practical guide to navigating the complexities of life with greater clarity, compassion, and wisdom. It offers a roadmap for cultivating positive mindsets, transforming negative patterns, and ultimately liberating ourselves from the cycle of suffering. This understanding is not about abstract philosophical concepts, but about the very real, lived experience of being human. It is about recognizing that the seeds of heaven and hell are sown in every moment, in every thought, word, and deed. The Buddha's teachings on this subject are not found in a single definitive text. Rather, they are woven throughout the vast tapestry of his discourses, parables, and dialogues with his disciples. By piecing together these insights, we can gain a comprehensive understanding of how the realms of existence are intimately connected to our inner world. This journey will lead us beyond simplistic notions of reward and punishment, revealing a deeper truth about the nature of reality and the boundless potential of the human mind. Part 1. Understanding Heaven and Hell in Buddhism. The nature of samsara. In Buddhism, samsara is the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, driven by ignorance, avidya, and craving, tanha. This cycle isn't a straight line, it's a continuous flow pushed forward by karma. Within this cycle, beings go through 6 realms: the heavenly realms, deva, the human realm, the animal realm, the realm of hungry ghosts, preta, the realm of asuras, titans or demigods, and the hell realms, naraka. These aren't permanent homes, they're temporary states depending on karma and our mental state. The 6 realms in detail. 1. Deva realms. These are blissful realms with long lifespans, but not forever. They're filled with refined pleasures and subtle happiness. There are different levels within the Deva realms, from those with sensual pleasures, kama loka, to realms of form, rupa loka, and formless realms, arupa loka, each with different levels of subtlety and joy. Beings here feel joy and contentment, but they're still stuck in the cycle of rebirth when their good karma runs out. 2. Human realm. This is where we are, a mix of suffering and joy. It's a valuable place because we have the chance to practice spiritually and find liberation. Humans can think rationally and make moral choices, which helps us understand the Dharma and work towards enlightenment. 3. Asura realm. These beings are powerful but tend to be angry, jealous, and always fighting. They crave power and control. Their lives are full of struggle and dissatisfaction, even though they're quite powerful and wealthy. 4. Animal realm. This realm is all about instincts, with lots of suffering from hunger, thirst, and fear. Beings here can't really think deeply or develop spiritually. They mostly focus on staying alive and getting their basic needs met. 5. Preta realm. These beings are constantly tormented by hunger and thirst they can never satisfy, a result of their past greed. They're often shown with big bellies and tiny mouths, unable to get enough. Their suffering is a direct result of bad things they did in past lives. 6. Naraka realm. These are realms of intense suffering from really bad actions in the past. These aren't eternal hells, just temporary states of torment. How long they stay there depends on how bad their karma was. Karma and the realms of existence. The Buddha taught that actions, karma, rooted in greed, hatred, and delusion, the three poisons, cause suffering, while actions based on generosity, love, and wisdom bring joy and peace. The Dhammapada puts it this way: mind precedes all phenomena. Mind is their chief. They are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows like a shadow that never departs. For example, someone who lies a lot, hurts others, or holds grudges might feel the kind of suffering described in the hell realms, even in this life. On the other hand, acts of kindness, generosity, and mindfulness create feelings like those in the heavenly realms. This applies to all 6 realms. Each one shows a different range of karmic results. Hell is a state of suffering. In Buddhist teachings, the Naraka realms are described as places of terrible suffering. Stories from the suttas give vivid examples of beings going through intense pain because of their past actions. These descriptions aren't meant to scare us, but to show us the serious consequences of bad deeds. The suffering here isn't random punishment. It's the natural result of negative actions. How long they stay in these realms depends on how strong their bad karma is. But the Buddha explained that hell isn't forever. Just like suffering has causes, it stops when those causes are gone. This ties into the idea of dependent origination, paticca samuppada, which says that everything, including suffering, depends on other things and is therefore always changing. Once the bad karma that puts someone in the Naraka realms is used up, they'll be reborn in another realm based on what good karma they have left. Heaven as a state of bliss. The Deva realms are full of joy, abundance, and peace. But even these great experiences don't last. The Buddha reminded us that while the heavenly realms offer a break from suffering, they don't bring true liberation. The Anguttara Nikaya says that even devas eventually fall back into the cycle of samsara when their good karma is gone. This impermanence is what makes them different from the idea of eternal heaven in other religions. The joy in the Deva realms can also make beings attached and complacent, which can slow down their path to liberation. The story of Magga, a good man who was reborn in the heavenly realm of Tavatimsa, shows this. He was reborn there because he was always generous and ethical. Although his actions brought him great joy, it didn't last, reminding us that even the best experiences are temporary. This story shows why it's important not to get too attached to even the most wonderful things. Heaven and hell in the present moment. Besides talking about these realms as places, the Buddha often talked about them as states of mind. In the Salayaka Sutta, he explained how anger, jealousy, and greed can create inner torment like being in hell. On the other hand, moments of love, mindfulness, and generosity can bring the peace and happiness of the heavenly realms. This shifts our focus from external places to what's going on inside us. These mental states affect how we see the world and what we experience. For example, think about a time you were really angry. Your mind races, your body tenses up, and you feel a lot of turmoil inside. That's similar to how suffering is described in the hell realms. Or think about a time you were truly kind to someone. You probably felt light, warm, and joyful, like the bliss of the heavenly states. We experience these things every day. We can learn to see and understand these internal states through mindfulness. Beyond heaven and hell. These realms teach us important lessons about what happens because of our actions and how we experience things, but the Buddha's main teaching goes beyond them. Liberation, nibbana, is beyond the opposites of pleasure and pain, heaven and hell. The Buddha wasn't just trying to help us escape one place for another. He wanted us to break free from the whole cycle of samsara. We find this freedom by getting rid of craving and ignorance, which are the root causes of suffering. In the Devadatta Sutta, the Buddha told a story about 5 divine messengers sent by the Devas to warn people about impermanence, suffering, and what happens because of our actions. This story emphasizes that all realms are temporary, and that we need to develop wisdom and live ethically to truly be free. The messengers remind us that true refuge isn't in any place, but on the path to liberation. This path leads to a state of peace and freedom beyond all experiences. Practical implications. Seeing heaven and hell as states of mind helps us understand that we're responsible for our own experiences. By practicing mindfulness, sati, living ethically, sila, and developing wisdom, panya, we can live with more clarity and compassion. This changes the focus from external rewards and punishments to changing ourselves from the inside. By paying attention to our thoughts, words, and actions, we start to see how karma affects what we experience. Through mindfulness, we can learn to recognize and change negative mental states, finding inner peace and well-being. The Buddha often reminded his followers that we plant the seeds of heaven and hell right now. Every thought, word, and action we take helps shape our reality. When we realize this, we can start to develop the qualities that lead to peace and liberation, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. This understanding encourages us to live intentionally, thinking about the consequences of what we do. Part 2. The realms as reflections of the mind. The psychological lens on Buddhist cosmology. Buddhist teachings often describe the 6 realms: heavenly, human, animal, hungry ghost, Titan, and hell realms, as if they were external places. But they're also reflections of our minds. The Buddha often said that our mental states shape how we see the world. Whether we feel peace or torment depends on our thoughts, emotions, and actions. The Dhammapada says, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts." This doesn't mean the traditional view of these realms as real places is wrong. Instead, It adds another layer of understanding. It shows us that these realms aren't just somewhere else. We can experience them right here, right now, depending on our state of mind. Heaven and hell within. The Buddha often described the mind as the creator of our happiness and suffering. A peaceful mind, filled with positive thoughts, is like living in a heavenly realm. On the other hand, a mind consumed by anger, greed, or delusion feels like the torment of the hell realms. For example, someone overwhelmed by jealousy might feel the burning heat of anger, the suffocating feeling of envy, and the isolating feeling of mistrust, emotions that feel like hellish suffering. On the other hand, a moment of true compassion can bring a sense of lightness, joy, and peace, like the heavenly states described in Buddhist texts. The Buddha illustrated this in the Salatha Sutta, where he talked about physical pain and mental pain. He explained that we can't always avoid physical pain, but the mental suffering that comes with it, caused by dislike or attachment, is a kind of hell we create in our minds. Examples from the canon. The Buddha used stories to show how our mental states are like different realms. One famous example is 𝐂𝐮𝐬𝐦𝐦𝐢𝐭, a dangerous bandit who caused immense suffering. When he met the Buddha, his mind was full of hatred and violence, a living example of the hell realms. But with the Buddha's guidance, 𝐂𝐮𝐬𝐦𝐦𝐢𝐭 changed completely, eventually finding peace and liberation. His story shows that our minds can change, even from the most terrible states. He went from a murderer to an enlightened being, demonstrating the power of the mind to transform. This wasn't just a change in behavior, it was a deep inner transformation. Similarly, the Jataka tales often tell stories of beings reborn as animals or ghosts because of their ignorance, greed, or delusion. These stories aren't just simple moral lessons. They show us how our habitual thought patterns shape our present experiences. They show us the consequences of our actions and the importance of cultivating positive qualities. Mindfulness, the gateway to transformation. One of the Buddha's core teachings is mindfulness, sati, paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, we can see the beginnings of suffering or joy as they arise. For example, when we feel anger, mindfulness helps us see it as just a temporary feeling, not something that defines us. This awareness gives us space to respond wisely instead of reacting impulsively. Over time, this practice weakens negative states and strengthens positive ones, bringing our minds closer to peace and clarity. The Satipatthana Sutta, which explains the foundations of mindfulness, gives us a practical way to observe and change our minds. By practicing mindfulness of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects, we can learn to navigate the subtle shifts between different mental states. Practical implications. Recognizing that these realms are reflections of our minds shifts our focus from external things to what's happening inside us. This understanding helps us take responsibility for our mental states and their effects. Instead of blaming others or outside situations for our suffering, we can look inward and find the root causes of our unhappiness. And by growing positive qualities like generosity, patience, and compassion, we can create a mental environment that feels like the bliss of the heavenly realms. Part 3. The role of intention in karma. 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐬, the heart of karma. The Buddha taught that intention, sadhana, is key to understanding karma. In the Anguttara Nikaya, he said, "It is volition, monks, that I call karma. For having willed, one acts by body, speech, and mind." This means that our actions aren't judged just by what happens outwardly, but by the intentions behind them. The same action can have very different karmic results depending on why we did it. For example, giving a gift with real kindness creates positive karma, but giving the same gift with hidden motives or reluctantly might not have the same effect. This focus on intention shows how important our inner moral and spiritual life is. The chain of causation. Karma works like a chain of cause and effect, starting with intention and leading to action. It goes like this. 1. Perception. We see something. Perception. 2. Intention. A thought arises about it, which is our intention. 3. Action. We then act based on that intention. Action. This shows how important our thoughts are in shaping our actions and their consequences. It also highlights the importance of mindfulness in creating good karma. By being aware, we can break old habits and make choices that align with ethical and spiritual principles. Stories illustrating intention. Buddhist texts are full of stories that show how important intention is. One example is Chatapani, a lay follower who was reborn in the Deva realm because of his strong faith and kind actions, even though he lived a seemingly ordinary life. His story shows how even small acts, done with pure intention, can have big karmic results. On the other hand, the story of Devadatta, a monk who tried to hurt the Buddha because he was jealous, shows how negative intentions lead to suffering. Even though he looked like a monk on the outside, his actions, driven by jealousy and ambition, led to his downfall. This story highlights the difference between outward appearance and inner motivation. The ripple effect of intention. Our intentions don't just affect our own karma, they also affect the people around us. A kind word spoken with genuine care can lift someone up, creating a wave of positivity. Conversely, an unkind act, even a small one, can spread negativity. For example, a person who spreads rumors can cause a chain reaction of distrust and negativity within a community. Conversely, someone who consistently offers support and encouragement can create a positive ripple effect, inspiring others to act with kindness. The Buddha often talked about this interconnectedness, saying that our intentions contribute to the overall well-being or suffering of the world. This is especially important today, where our actions can have a huge impact through social media and technology. Mindful cultivation of wholesome intentions. The Buddha taught practical ways to develop positive intentions and change negative ones. These include loving kindness meditation, metta bhavana, a practice of developing goodwill towards ourselves and others, reflection on karma, thinking about the consequences of our actions to guide our behavior, right intention, Samma Sankappa, part of the Noble Eightfold Path, which involves cultivating thoughts of renunciation, goodwill, and non-harming. These practices not only purify our minds, but also start karmic forces that lead to peace and happiness. Practical applications. Understanding how important intention is helps us live each day with more awareness. Simple things like speaking kindly, helping someone, or not gossiping can have big karmic effects when done with sincere intention. By always trying to align our intentions with wisdom, compassion, and ethical behavior, we create the conditions for long-term well-being, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. Part 4. The interplay between karma and the realms of existence. The web of karma and samsara. In the Buddhist framework, the 6 realms of existence are not random destinations. They are intricately connected to karma, the law of cause and effect. Karma determines the realm into which a being is born, based on their accumulated actions, thoughts, and intentions. The Buddha explained this connection in the 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐬𝐞 Sutta, where he described how specific actions lead to rebirth in particular realms. Wholesome deeds, rooted in generosity, compassion, and ethical conduct, lead to rebirth in higher realms, such as the Deva or human realms. Unwholesome deeds, driven by greed, hatred, and delusion, result in rebirth in lower realms, such as the animal or hell realms. Karmic forces, shaping the realms. Each realm corresponds to a dominant mental state or tendency. Deva realms, heavenly realms, represent the fruition of selflessness, ethical living, and meditative states. The bliss of these realms mirrors the mental clarity and joy arising from virtuous actions. Human realm reflects a balance of karmic outcomes, offering the unique opportunity for spiritual growth. It is the realm where the path to liberation can be fully realized. Asura realm, Titan, characterized by competitiveness and aggression, arising from karmic actions driven by jealousy and pride. Animal realm represents ignorance and fear, rooted in unmindful and instinct-driven actions. Preta realm, hungry ghost, symbolizes insatiable craving, arising from actions steeped in greed and attachment. Hell realms represent intense suffering caused by hatred, anger, and violence. These realms illustrate how the quality of our actions and intentions manifests in diverse experiences, both in this life and beyond. The dynamics of karmic ripening. Karma does not operate on a strict linear timeline. Some actions produce immediate results, while others take lifetimes to ripen. This concept is often likened to seeds. Some seeds germinate quickly, like mustard seeds that sprout within days. Others, like mango seeds, take months or even years to bear fruit. This delayed ripening explains why individuals may experience outcomes that seem disconnected from their current actions. It also highlights the importance of patience and perseverance in spiritual practice. Liberation beyond the realms. While karma determines rebirth within the 6 realms, the Buddha emphasized that liberation lies beyond these cycles. The goal of the Buddhist path is not to secure a favorable rebirth, but to transcend samsara entirely by extinguishing the causes of rebirth: greed, hatred, and delusion. In the Udana, the Buddha described nibbana as the unconditioned and the cessation of birth and death. By understanding the workings of karma and practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, one can escape the endless cycle of rebirth and achieve ultimate freedom. Practical insights. This understanding of karma and the realms encourages mindfulness in daily life. Reflecting on the consequences of actions fosters ethical living and helps individuals align their choices with their spiritual goals. Recognizing the impermanent and conditioned nature of all realms inspires practitioners to aspire for liberation rather than temporary pleasures or escapes. Part 5. Navigating the realms in everyday life. The realms as daily experiences. The realms described in Buddhist cosmology aren't just distant or mythical. They can be experienced in our daily lives. Our mental states create our lived reality, causing us to fluctuate between these realms throughout the day. Instead of thinking of them as far-off places, we can understand them as different ways of experiencing the world based on our mental and emotional state. Heavenly experiences. Moments of deep gratitude, selfless kindness, or genuine joy evoke a sense of peace and happiness similar to the Deva realms. For instance, feeling heartfelt appreciation for a beautiful sunset or helping someone in need without expecting anything in return can create this feeling. Human experiences. This realm represents balance and the potential for growth. Moments of mindful awareness, reflection, and ethical decision-making exemplify the human experience. It's about being present and making conscious choices. States of craving. Overindulgence, addiction, or obsessive desire reflect the restless and unsatisfying nature of the Preta realm. This isn't just about material possessions. It can also be about craving attention, recognition, or even specific experiences. Moments of anger or despair. Intense anger, hatred, or overwhelming despair mirror the suffering of the hell realms. These are times when our minds are consumed by negativity, causing us inner turmoil. By observing our mental states, our thoughts, emotions, and intentions, we can recognize which realm we are currently experiencing and learn to shift towards more wholesome states. This awareness is the first step towards taking control of our inner world. Mindfulness and ethical conduct. The tools for navigation. Mindfulness is the key to navigating these mental fluctuations. Through practices like the 4 foundations of mindfulness, Satipatthana Sutta, we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment, simply acknowledging their presence. This allows us to create space between a feeling and our reaction to it. Ethical conduct, as outlined in the 5 precepts, provides a practical framework for cultivating wholesome states of mind. By refraining from 1. Taking life, harming any living being. 2. Stealing, taking what is not freely given. 3. Sexual misconduct, causing harm through sexual actions. 4. False speech, lying, gossiping, or using harsh language. 5. Intoxicants that cloud the mind, anything that impairs our awareness. We create the conditions for inner peace and contribute to a more harmonious world. These precepts aren't just rules. They are guidelines for living a life of integrity and compassion. Cultivating compassion. Compassion, karuna, is a powerful force that can bridge the divide between different mental states. By cultivating compassion for ourselves and others, we recognize our shared humanity and reduce the tendency to judge or condemn. Practicing loving kindness, metta, is a key way to develop compassion. It involves directing feelings of goodwill, kindness, and loving acceptance towards ourselves, loved ones, neutral people, difficult people, and eventually all beings. For example, when we encounter someone acting in a way that causes us frustration or anger, instead of reacting with hostility, we can try to understand their perspective and recognize that they too are likely experiencing some form of suffering. This shift in perspective can transform conflict into understanding and create a more positive interaction. Practical application. Bringing it all together. By combining mindfulness, ethical conduct, and compassion, we can actively shape our inner world and experience more peace and well-being. Here are some ways to bring these principles into daily life. Daily reflection. Take a few moments each day to reflect on your intentions and actions. Ask yourself, what motivated my actions today? Were my intentions rooted in kindness, compassion, and wisdom? Mindful response. When faced with challenging situations or strong emotions, pause and observe your thoughts and feelings before reacting. This allows you to choose a more skillful response. Cultivating gratitude. Regularly practicing gratitude can shift our focus from what we lack to what we have, fostering a sense of contentment and joy similar to the heavenly realms. Compassionate action. Engage in acts of kindness and generosity, even small ones. These actions not only benefit others, but also cultivate positive mental states within ourselves.